Well, I'm going to begin, Paul, by asking the vital question, which is why Ghostbusters? What was it about this particular franchise that you just felt, as a filmmaker, you really wanted to get involved in?
Well, I mean, I'm such a fan of the original one. I saw it opening night when it first opened. I was still in film school, and a bunch of my comedy buddies and I went to see it, and I couldn't believe, I'd never seen a comedy like that before that just had that kind of scope and scares, but it was also so hilarious. And so it always stuck in me. I was like, oh, if I could someday make a movie like that. And then suddenly I actually made that exact movie. But it was nice. I got called first by Ivan Reitman when I was still working on Spy about directing one. And at that point they had a sequel script. And it was good, but I couldn't quite get my head around it. And I felt like it might be a better thing to actually kind of reboot it so we're not kind of getting into the world of the original ones and let them be on their own, and then we can kind of do an origin story for a new generation.
And in regards to Ivan, I mean, did you speak to him much along the course of this? Because this is very much something that is obviously he's so close to. Or did you think it was actually quite productive to try and avoid speaking to him too much, so you could very much have your own unique vision?
Well, I mean, Ivan was involved the whole time, and and he's the master, and he's one of my comedy filmmaking heroes. But look, any filmmaker wants to have that autonomy, and what's great about Ivan is he understands that. I mean, because being a director, he's a producer also, but he's also a director, and you realize it's any director it's intimidating to have one of your hero directors watching over your shoulder. So he was great. I mean, he came in from time to time and would come to the set and check in, but he really gave me and the whole gang our space. But he was always kind of there, and and he has great thoughts and great notes, and and he was great when we were in the editing process, and again, when you have a master like that, you don't ignore everything they say.
And you mentioned before how funny the original was, but what this film has got as well, obviously, is a great story. It's an action, adventure, fantasy kind of. It's not just a comedy.
Right.
Was that quite kind of helpful to you, that you didn't have to rely so much on the kind of jokes, that you had a great narrative to fall back on?
Yeah, I really like a comedy with a solid driver in the middle of it. I mean, that's what with Spy, that was the same thing. Like, if you find these genres that have their own kind of forward momentum, it's great, because then you hang the jokes on them, but the jokes become very behavioral and they're happening in the moment, so you're not having to have like wacky, crazy characters. You're having real characters who are a bit quirky and skewed, but they're put into this outrageous situation and they're reacting in a way that's funny because they're sort of us. We as the audience are represent them and kind of see the world through their various takes on it.
And was it quite fun? I mean, I love the way we kind of bring in the kind of our favourite aspects of the kind of franchise, the sort of logo, the sort of slogan, the way they're kind of introduced into the film. Was that quite a lot of fun in kind of trying to find ways to introduce those aspects?
That really was. I mean, when Katie Dippold, when I asked her to write this with me, she was really wanted to make sure that we had those things in that if we didn't make the movie as fans of the original one, we would be bummed if we didn't see them. And then just the idea was like, oh, and if we're going to reintroduce these, since it's an origin story, let's see the origins of all these things and find kind of different fun ways. Because that was the thing with the original one, is the logo was just kind of already there, the proton packs were already there, and I thought, wow, it'd be so much fun to see, how does the proton pack evolve? Does it start as a giant cart on wheels and then miniaturized throughout the movie, and then where does the logo come from?
Something that I think you did extremely well, but I was wondering if was the biggest challenge, was to kind of navigate your way around that, the idea of appeasing the original fans, those who feel quite protective over the Ghostbusters franchise, and yet looking to kind of appeal to a whole new generation of fans.
Yeah, we wanted to walk that line where fans of the original, because people know it by heart. It's like Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Like, you can just recite whole scenes out of it. I didn't want to pretend it didn't exist. I want those people to have fun, but in a way that if somebody doesn't know the movie, they're just experiencing it for the first time and they're learning about it. But so it was an interesting line to walk, of going like, oh, here's a nod for them, but still make it just where people who don't know the movie can enjoy it.
And was it quite fun as well, addressing the kind of doubters in a quite meta way within the film? I think there's that great moment where they're talking about YouTube commentators. Was that something that you were? I thought it was sort of well played in that.
Oh, thanks. I mean, I didn't know. I never wanted to play into the negativity at all, but it would just had gotten so public that we thought let's just hit it and then we'll move past it. So it was kind of fun.
Has it been quite frustrating though recently? I mean, you've almost had to find yourself being defensive for no reason, because there has been this kind of negative hype. Has that been something that's been quite frustrating for everyone involved, to know that people are almost almost judging this movie before they've actually seen it.
I think that's the only frustrating part is that, and I find it tends to be the thing with the internet that we didn't kind of used to have, which is I think people feel more ownership over everything, and they feel like they're getting so much information that they can prejudge it. And that's the only thing, you know, if you get comments like, this movie's terrible, it's like, you saw a trailer, you didn't see the movie. But it's okay. What I understand is that there's so much passion towards this franchise and towards these movies. And people are rightfully nervous when somebody reboots something. If I wasn't doing it, and I would be as nervous as everybody else is. But again, all you can say is like, just judge it on its own merits, because all of us involved, the only thing we wanted to do is create a movie that was going to let you have as much fun as you did when you watched the original.
It's the sort of downside to the immediacy of the internet as well, isn't it? My granddad was a theatre critic, and if anyone had anything they wanted to say about his writing, they'd have to write a letter.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, no, it's weird. I mean, with the internet now, where it used to be just kind of, letters that would go into some, mail room, now it shows up in your phone. Yeah. I'm at brunch with my wife, and then suddenly, oh my God, there's some horrible comment.
Yeah. And one of the advantages of rebooting this franchise is obviously we've advanced, the technology is advanced, and special effects. I mean, was that something that you really looked to exploit, to try? I mean, if there's one thing that you were really able to do that could differentiate this, was you able to bring in a whole new kind of wave of CGI? Yeah,
no, it was really fun, but at the same time, I didn't want us to get eaten up by it. And it was really important to me to do as much in camera as we could. And so wanted all the ghosts to be portrayed by actors, the ones that were humanoid. And so most of those ghosts that you actually see are people that were in full costumes, actors that I hired and I've worked with before, who were on rigs and wires and all that, so we could bring them in, but they had these LED light suits that gave light interaction between the actors and the environment, and then we augmented with CG. But I didn't want my cast performing against tennis balls.
And talking of the cast, I mean, it's one thing to have very funny sort of actors who can perform well, but these are actual kind of comedians. I mean, it must have made for a very fun set. Was there quite a lot of, did you give them quite a lot of chance to improvise and use their own kind of comedic tendencies and put that into the character?
Yeah, I always encourage lots of improv and lots of ad-libbing and just literally just taking it, making your own. And it doesn't mean that then they just go off on some tangent. We work really hard to make the script right, but what the script represents to us is a roadmap. So each scene you go, we have to get from point A to point B. So how we get there, that's the fun part, as long as we get there. But sometimes it's just changing a word or two, and sometimes it's just going off on a whole other take on the scene.
And what this film does, it sort of lends itself to future projects as well. I mean, is this a sort of film that you'd like to build a franchise upon again, have a sequel, perhaps move forwards in that direction?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I've always kind of avoided sequels in my career, but this world is so rich, and just there's so much to be done with it. I mean, again, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to reboot it, because it's such a big idea. Almost those first two movies can't hold all the potential that it has. And so, yeah, I think it'd be fun to have more and more of these. I mean, this team is so great. These four women are so awesome, and then just the people around them, and sky's the limit when you're talking about the paranormal.
I'm just still waiting for the Heat too, but it sounds like that's not going to happen.
It's written, and it's great. Yeah. Sandra Bullock, it's up to her.
Yeah, come on, Sandra.
I know, come on.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
So
much
good to see you.
Appreciated.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey!